Math Time with Mr. Baumhofer.
Hello, third graders. Mr. Baumhofer here with a video lesson on comparing unit fractions with fraction bars. So I'm going to start with just a little refresher here on what are fractions or what is a fraction. Well, a fraction is broken up into two parts. The denominator tells how many parts the whole is divided into. That is the bottom number. The numerator tells how many equal parts you are talking about. That is the top number. Now, if you remember, a unit fraction is a fraction that has a numerator of 1. And that is the basic unit of each fraction. Let me show you an example. If we look here, we have all of these circles that are the same size, but they're broken up into different different numbers of sections, and that will be our denominator. So each circle will have an increasing number. If we look at the first one, we have two sections, and one of them is shaded. So 1 would be our numerator, and 2 would be our denominator, so 1/2. This circle is broken up into 3 sections, and one part is shaded. So we have one part on top, again, and 3 on the bottom. So we went from 2 parts to 3. For the next circle, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, and one part is shaded. So 1 goes on top for our numerator, and 4 is the number on bottom for our denominator. So these shaded parts all represent the unit fractions for increasingly smaller units of the whole. Okay, so now let me show you using fraction bars to better visualize how we can compare unit fractions and notice the pattern that we see when our denominator number goes up. What happens to the size of our unit fraction? Our unit fraction gets smaller as the number on the bottom, the denominator, goes up. So if you notice, I have 1 over 1. That would be 1 whole up here. Okay, and these rectangles, these fraction bars are the same size. So then if I split them into 2 equal parts and then look at one of those parts as the unit fraction, I have 1 over 2, then 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, 1/6, and 1/7. And notice how each unit fraction gets smaller the larger the denominator gets. And the smaller the denominator is, the larger the unit fraction will be. So I have a few sample problems on the bottom here. So using these fraction bars, I would like you to take a few seconds, and I will just stop talking, or you can pause to try to figure it out before I give the answer. And I want you to try to figure out, using this image here above, figure out which one is greater or larger than the other. So in this case, I have 1/3 and 1/7. And in the circle, I will just draw our inequality symbols, the greater than or less than symbols, which look something like this. Okay, so take a second and try to answer all 3 of these using the diagram above. You can pause now. Okay, welcome back. So if we look at the first problem, 1/3, we go up here and find 1/3. This section would be 1/3. And we're comparing it to 1/7. 1/7. So if we look, it is clear to see that 1/3 is greater than 1/7. So we put the open side of our inequality symbol towards the larger section. So 1/3 is greater than 1/7. Let's look at the second problem. 1/3 compared to 1/2. Well, if we find 1/3 up here again, see it's that large, then we find 1/2. And 1/2 goes significantly past 1/3. So 1/2 would be greater than 1/3. We put the open end of the inequality symbol because they are not equal. 1/3 is not equal to 1/2. 1/2 is greater than 1/3. And for our last practice problem, we have 1/6 and 1/7. So if I find 1/6 right here, and then go down to 1/7, I can see that 1/7 is slightly smaller than 1/6. So 1/6 is greater than 1/7. Now I could also figure this out by just looking at the denominator numbers. I know that because the denominator for 1/7 is larger, it's broken up into smaller parts than 1/6 because we need more of those parts to create the whole. So 1/6 is greater than 1/7. All right, third graders, try to do some of these practice problems on your own at home. Maybe make your own fraction bars and set up some comparison problems and see which ones are bigger. Stay tuned for more videos.